I welcome you all on the eighth webinar series brought to you by Vardhana for School Development. So today's topic is want to become a rockstar teacher. So far, we have done a webinar on different topics like bringing student back to the school, managing school classroom, managing student behavior, NEP and its implications, learning loss, and teacher management tool. To begin with, I'll go talk about today's agenda. So we'll start with introduction and session objective. We'll talk about context, what is happening, some key concept, planning an effective tool, skills overview for teachers growth, Varthana program, followed by feedback and closing. Let's go and understand why we are here and what we are going to talk and cover in today's webinar. So we'll start with the objective. So objective of today's session is understanding planning, different types of planning, discuss 21st century skill, ways to incorporate them in the classroom. So I'm going to play a video here. Why it is important to upgrade teaching skills. I'll request everyone to pay attention so we can have a fruitful discussion post that. I'm going to project the video. It's of 2 minutes. Sorry, there's some disruption in the video. Just give me a minute. I'm going to play the video again. So as we all have seen in the video that the 21st century is changing, the kind of world we are living in is changing at a very fast pace, and there are a lot of skills which is required to do one job, because like there's a lot of uh, artificial intelligence, lot of technology which is involved, and to do any work effectively from last, like in compared to last 10 years or a decade or 2 decade ahead, people need to have more and more skill set to achieve those goals for or attain those jobs which is available right now, or those jobs which will be available in the future. Because again, we are living in a world where the kind of job we are indulging is changing fast, and we need to not only have learners who have some skill set to perform one job again and again. We need to have those people who can adapt easily, flexible to adapt, learn and grow in future as per the need. So as we have seen in the video that it's important to as we have seen in the video that it's important to like upgrade yourself as a teacher, because teacher are the one who pass on all these information and knowledge to the student and make them ready for future. So as we all know that there's a lot of disruption in education system due to COVID-19. School students were out of school for 2 years. There was a lot of shift for teachers and the way they used to teach earlier in the classroom. So let's try to understand shift in teaching learning pre and post COVID. So as we have seen that due to the disruption, we all have shifted more towards technology, different ways of teaching, different ways of learning, different ways of assessment. So few of the things which has definitely shifted is school have moved from offline mode to hybrid mode, and teacher has done the same. Like in like past 1 or 2 years, we all have in one or another way opted for hybrid mode, and this is going to continue for a long time. We're not going to stop here. So it's very important to understand that the upgradation is important. Earlier the classes were more of teacher centric, where teacher would decide and define what to teach, but now it's student centric. Students have different ways and approaches of learning, and maybe it's high time that we should start teaching them in those approaches which they understand. Earlier students were more of passive learners. They used to learn from teachers directly, or were not that participative. But in today's world, students are more and more active learner. Active learner in terms of they have a lot of access to information and knowledge from outside and a lot of open sources. So they have information. The work of teacher is to guide them through how to utilize it in the best possible way. The focus earlier was, along with education, was value and behavioral issue. But one of the crucial issue which has emerged in past few years is mental health issues, and the kind of parents in APS sector we deal with. Parents are not aware of how to understand and deal with it. Here, teachers can guide the student through, or at least help them to identify that children is facing some sort of issue and needs some support. Families with student, earlier teachers were familiar with the student learning level, the way they used to assess and other things, but there's also shift in it. Earlier we used to do all the offline assessment or oral assessment, but now we have shifted to hybrid assessments, open book assessments, quizzes, Google form assessment. So there's shift in assessment pattern also. And earlier there was chalk and talk and material to learning material to engage. But now, as we have seen in the video, that there is more shift towards digital technology. There are a lot of e-learning companies which are coming up, Byju's, Unacademy, these. So I think it's high time that school and teachers should also start evolving and start gaining those skills to sustain in long run and to serve student in best possible way. So it's very important to understand this shift and start focusing and working towards this shift. Sorry, my system got stuck. I'll just take another minute to project again. Let's understand. So far, we have covered that it's important to upgrade, why it's important, and what is the shift which is happening in teaching and learning field. So let's understand what is the most important skill a teacher needs uh, to teach every day. So here I'm going to launch another poll to understand it from the audience. But I'll also request if somebody wants to share, they can raise their hand, and we can take 2 3 answers from them, and then we can move ahead. So I'm going to launch a poll here. I'll request everyone to participate and respond to it. We'll take 30 seconds to. I request everyone to please participate. We have received only 43 votes so far. I'm going to publish the poll result. So maximum people have said that planning is one of the important skill which we need to acquire or have as a teacher, which we need in our day-to-day life. Other have said implementation and monitoring, 27%, and few people have responded that leadership. So indeed, planning is very crucial to have. Very crucial to teach every day, and it's not crucial only for teacher one profession, it's very important for everyone. So we also know that we do planning at multiple stages and timing in our life. I think planning is one of the things which is part of our day-to-day life. From morning to evening, we make multiple plans in formal or in formal or informal way. So there's a very famous quote saying that those who fail to plan are like plan to fail in life. So for example, if a 10th standard kid wants to be a scientist in future, so for that they have the kid has to start planning from 10th, so they score and achieve and learn in a way that they get the science stream. Later on they get admission in a good college, then maybe get to join a good resource center. But this planning needs to be done at a very prior stage. Like you can't take commerce in 12th standard and then think, oh, I want to become a scientist. That's not feasible. So it's just example that if you fail to plan at a right time, timing plays a major role when it comes to planning. So if you plan to fail at a right time, you plan to deliver at a right time or achieve the goal which is required or whichever is desired. So let's start with planning. What planning is? So planning is an important component of effective teaching. Here we'll talk about planning in terms of teaching. It involves setting of objective and determining the course of action is achieved, and all those objectives are achieved in a given time frame. Work in school context, the time framework is academic year, an academic year, which is like generally not more than 10 months. And there are a lot of other activities which happen in this duration. So it's important to have a very effective plan to ensure that delivery is happening throughout the year and everything is running smoothly. So it's very important for the professional development of a teacher as well. The way a teacher conceive and plan and implement whatever the content knowledge they have, instruction strategy, classroom management tactics, help them also to grow in their career. So today we'll be talking about two types of planning: unit planning and lesson planning. A unit is basically a set of few topics and themes which are aligned to each other, or there is some correlation between them. So unit planning is a tool where a teacher is trying to align the learning objectives and with activities to ensure that there is effective learning for the student, and they get to learn the knowledge and apply the gain knowledge in the process. It's very important that the learning activities are aligned clearly with the learning objectives, and then only it can be achieved in an effective way. So here we'll see an example of grade 6 unit. So there's grade 6 unit 1, earth and nature. The content of chapter 1 is evaporation, condensation, water cycle, weather, and factor influencing it. In chapter 2, the content topics, subtopics are solar system, rotation, evolution, life cycle. So you can see that there is some alignment and relation between these topics. So if you see, water cycle is related to life on earth, weather and factor influencing is related to revolution or rotation, evaporation, condensation is also related. So these kind of topics can be clubbed together, and a unit plan can be formulated in a way so there's no overlapping of topics. Time can be used effectively. Prioritization, a teacher is able to do and prioritize which topic to cover and which concept is required effectively in a given span of time. So for unit planning, we'll see a BIGS framework, what BIG frameworks says and how we can use BIGS framework for making an effective lesson plan, unit plan, sorry. So BIG framework is basically a concept based on constructive alignment. Let's try to understand what constructive alignment is. So constructive alignment is where a learner construct his or own learning through relevant learning activities, supported and guided through teachers, and or provide an environment where a student is able to learn by themselves or become a self-learner by indulging in certain activities which can be guided by the teachers to get the desired learning outcome. So a unit plan, using a constructive alignment, what will be the component of a unit plan? So rationale is very important. Like, what is the aim of doing something? The other is learning outcome. It's very important to define or clearly state that what is the outcome or what is the end result you want a child to learn or children to learn towards the end of your class. What are the activities and approaches which will be part of the learning, which will be part of the unit plan, which will be conducted to achieve the learning outcome, how the assessment would be formulated or included to just ensure that whatever the child is learning, they are able to reflect and respond to it. Feedback helps to reflect on student progress and guide them through the process. So these are the like some components of a like constructive alignment that using these things like a unit plan can be formulated. So let's try to understand BIGS framework in detail. So it's a backward planning approach. So for example, I'll just give a planning example. For example, as a like school, you have event, annual day event on certain date, day and month. But to plan for that event, what do? You decide that the event is going to happen on 10th of December from 10 to 12 p.m. The annual day function. So you're the end result or the outcome is decided that this is the final event which is going to happen. So here that is the learning outcome. That there would be a event on annual day event on 10th December. How you going to ensure that everything is correct is to make a checklist of it, ki when to achieve what, when to like send to have a checklist that the all participants are coming, the invitation is gone to everyone, the arrangements are made, what arrangements are required. So that is your second part, that is to like have a checklist or assessment of self, that how much the plan is implemented. Then you move to start planning from the first day, that what are the things or events which will happen on that day. Would there be dance events, singing events, prize distribution, some sort of competition? So that is your learning activity which you will plan from the first day. So according to the BIGS planning model, you do the reverse planning. So you set the final goal, the learning outcome, then you have an assessment list, and then you focus on the learning activity. So this is what BIGS model talk about the backward planning approach, that you know what you have to do, how you're gonna do it, and then you plan the activities which will take place to do that. So it's same in the lesson planning, unit planning, which can be included. I'm going to give a example here to show how BIGS model can be implemented. So here, for example, as a teacher, you have to create a unit plan for student using BIGS model. So the three component you have to take care is learning outcome, the final end result, the assessment of the student, how you're going to assess that the end result is being achieved, and how what would be the activities and learning engagements you'll indulge the student in to bring the learning outcome. So to like help them achieve the learning outcome or to learn it. So the first thing in terms of teaching a water cycle to the student, the learning outcome, the backward planning starts from the learning outcome. So in water cycle concept, I want student to understand the process of water cycle on Earth. The assessment mode can be through some quizzes or through filling the blanks, but I want to check whether the student is able to comprehend and answer that the change in the state of matter during water cycle, whether they're able to explain it and the reason behind it, that why it's changing and how it's changing. Focus, and the third step is to plan activities accordingly. So maybe as a teacher, in a lesson plan, I'll include it that how I can do experiment in front of the student using a miniature water cycle, show them the entire process of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation to help them understand and grab the knowledge. But here, what we are doing is we are like deciding what we want them to learn. We are assessing, deciding the method of assessing it, and then we are designing that what and how we want them to learn, through which activities or what would be the theoretical or practical knowledge we'll be providing them to learn the concept. So this BIGS model is used for the unit plan. Let's move and see how we can effectively do the lesson planning. We have this 5E learning model, which is quite famous. It is recommended by NCRT, and a lot of schools, NCRT is currently using this framework for the lesson plan, and a lot of other countries are also using this framework in their curriculum. So let's understand what is 5E model of lesson planning. It's a tool which is used by educators to build inquiry and exploration and assessment in a way that include inquiry, exploration, and assessment in their instructional approach. So they will be able to facilitate and guide through student all the concept in a very effective manner. So the three component of 5E model is knowledge, experience, and reflection. So through this model, the focus is to help child gain some theoretical knowledge or indulge in some knowledge gaining, make them experience something practically, whatever they are doing, and help them to reflect in it. So for example, if I want to teach a student something, I'm indulging them in reading some papers related to it, or watching some videos on it, or providing or sharing text content with them to learn from it. Then I indulge them in experience. Experience can be by doing experiment in front of them, or by giving them hands-on learning material to indulge in, or by sending them outside in the nature and ask them to go and explore. And then the third is reflection. Whatever they are learning, are they able to apply that knowledge? Like whatever they have learned theoretically and practically, are they able to apply that knowledge? And how much they are able to like effectively use that knowledge is like the reflection of it. So these are the three important components, and the stages of 5E model is designed on these components. I'm going to cover about that as well. So the 5E learning model has 5 stages, which can be included in a lesson plan to cater student in best possible way and like ensure effective learning. So the first stage is engage student in a way where you pique the interest of the student, where you generate the curiosity and some sort of interest in the student, make them involved in the process, ask them to think and reflect and participate in it. The second stage is explore. The purpose of this stage is to give student chance to learn by themselves, or provide them topics and materials to learn and explore it by themselves. The third stage is explain, where whatever the child has learned, they get to share it with the people. And we'll talk about it in detail through example. But explain stages where they're able to indulge in a communication, they're able to share their learning. The fourth stage is elaborate. In elaborate stage, the purpose is to like ensure that whatever they have learned through engaging, exploring, explaining, and experiencing it, how much they're able to connect it with the broader theme or topic, or the knowledge in the real life. The fourth stage is evaluate. It's important to assess that whatever learning is happening is in right direction. It's meeting the learning objective and outcome which is set prior before starting the lesson. And just to ensure what sort of it's also good for teachers to understand how effectively the learning is happening and what are the changes they have to make or rework from their end. So this is about the 5E model for lesson planning. Let's see an example how we can use this 5E model and make a lesson plan out of it. So a few materials will focus on again water cycle, which we have seen in unit planning using Biggs model. Now we'll see how we can have a lesson plan on the same topic using 5E model. So here the components are same: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Now we have to include some activities on these components in the lesson plan. So for example, for water cycle, if as a teacher, I have to teach someone water cycle. So my engaging activity can be to demonstrate them how the process is happening. So as a teacher, I can maybe just keep some water on a heating temperature or outside under sun, and ask them to observe that what is happening, like whether the water level is increasing, decreasing, what is happening, what they're observing, and ask them to like record the process, whatever their observation is. Or you can I can take a lot of like answers from them and record it on a board by myself. The second stage is explore. Now the student are quite engaged and interested in seeing that something is happening, the state of water is changing. Now you can show them a video stating that video with the explanation of what the water cycle is, how the entire process look like. Again, you can ask student to pay attention to it, make notes of it. The third stage can be explain. Now the student have seen the video as well. Now teacher can do the experiment in front of them, or show them that how it's happening, like the experience learning, that you can boil water at a certain temperature using the required material, and using a lid you can just help student to using the lid you can just do the process and show them that how rain falls and how it happens. So experimental learning can be done how. Now the student have seen it, experienced it in the explain part, they have explored it through the video. You can ask students what are the differences they are seeing, what they have learned in the video and what they are seeing here in the experimental learning. There can be a discussion around it. The other is elaborate. Once as a student, once student have learned and seen the experiment, ask them to connect it with the outer world. Where else they have seen this process happening? Have they seen it somewhere? Can they relate it with some other things they have seen or have experienced so far, or some other related to some other cycle which is happening parallelly? So that's how you can encourage them to critically think and indulge and question and evolve in the process to learn and explore by themselves. And the fifth part is evaluate. Help student to give them an assignment to see whether how much they have learned and what is the outcome of it, how they are performing, whether the concept clarity is there or not. So as I'll go back to the poll result where participants have responded that planning is important, but it's also important to ensure implementing and monitoring. It's important to evaluate student timely, and only like doing a quarterly exam and half yearly exam is not sufficient to do that. So it's very important to include a assessment in lesson plan and unit plan and do it regularly. So teachers can always go back and provide feedback. So these are the 5 steps which can be included in lesson plan, and the learning can happen effectively with the students. Also, this also caters the different kind of learners. It includes differentiated instruction, which talks about catering auditory learners, visual learners, and kinesthetic learner. This kind of lesson plan and unit plan help teachers and help students to learn in the way, help teachers to teach student in the way they learn, and it also encourages student to learn and participate as much as possible, because their need is being served using these kind of unit plan and lesson plan. As you can see, there are a lot of like hands-on learning, there's a lot of audio visual learning, experiential learning. So these kind of lesson plans are really effective to include in the delivery process. Few things to be kept in mind while designing these learning lessons and also during the academic year is to plan the flow of the class clearly and ensure that students are aware and informed about it. Like they should have the prior information that what they're going to learn in the classroom today. That will help them to come prepared, or you can also share some advanced material with them. So it would also sort of ease down teachers' efforts to push them and make them learn. The other thing which is very crucial is that student loses, like 20% of the student loses their attention if a speaker or a teacher is speaking for more than 2 minutes continuously. The attention span is quite limited, so it's important to indulge them in different activities throughout the lesson. So it's important to include different activities to grab their attention, or keep them interested in the topic. So it's important to include these things in the unit plan and lesson plan. This can be done with a quick energizer, or throwing a random question to the student, making them do some physical activity in the classroom. So it's very important to ensure that these things are included in a lesson plan and a unit plan. It's very important to see the and monitor the morale and workload of the students. Sometimes students feel overloaded, and many times, especially towards the exam, the entire we all try to rush into completing the course and curriculum. It's important to understand whether the student is feeling motivated or not, and what is the work load of the student. If it's overloaded and there's a lot of things which need to be taught, attention and priority can be given to certain topics which needs that priority, and rest can be skipped. So while developing the lesson plan and unit plan, especially unit plans help a lot to prioritize things and cut down the timing, cut down the student burden, and it also has teachers to not indulge in repetitive concept teaching. So this should also be taken care of while making a plan. One of the important components, as we have discussed earlier, that implementation and monitoring is important, but it should be very regular. So there should definitely be a check for understanding portion in the lesson plan, where whatever you're teaching for a day, just to see the learning objective is met or not towards the end of the classroom. This can be done in multiple interesting way and quick way. Can be through a quick pulse check in the beginning of the classroom or towards the end of the classroom. Entry and exit tickets can be used. Some filling the blanks, online, offline quizzes, focus group discussion can be encouraged to do this CFU. But it's very important to just ensure that children is learning, and whatever you are trying to deliver as a teacher, there is some learning outcome. So we have covered so far planning in teaching, why it's important, BICS model and a 5V model, and how using these model we can effectively make our unit lesson and sorry unit plan and lesson plan. Let's see what are the other skills teachers should have to maximize the student learning. We all have seen that planning is the crucial and the most important one, and how we can do it effectively. But let's try to move to the other part of the session, where we try to see the other skills which is required or teachers should have to maximize the student learning. So to understand this, I'm going to launch another poll. I'll request I'll request everyone to participate in it. I have launched the poll. I'll request everyone to please participate. What do you think? What are the other skills teachers should have to maximize the student learning apart from planning? I'm going to wait for another 15 seconds and will request everyone to please respond to the poll. I'm going to publish the result of the poll. So the other skills which are required, most of the people have voted innovative pedagogy skill. The second highest vote is for creativity, and followed by technology and facilitation and socio-emotional skill. So it's very important to have these skills. Sorry, I'll just. So I totally agree to it that these are the important skills, and we are going to deep dive into it and understand that why this skill is important and how we can include it in our day-to-day life. So we'll be focusing and discussing on 21st century skill. What are the other skills which teachers need to be a better teacher or deliver in an effective manner in the classroom, offer their own growth. So let's see. We have like an overview of 21st century skill, that is facilitation skill, technological skill, pedagogical skill, reflective skills, communication skills, innovative and socio-emotional skills. So if you see and reflect it, it's quite like overlapped with the NEP. NEP talks about the same skill set. So having this skill set will help teachers and students to cope up with NEP implementation, which has started happening in the education system. Also, with the changing world, students need to learn these skills, and to teach these skills, teacher needs to be good at it. Also, if we see, and we all are aware of some of the other data which state that COVID-19 has impacted the teaching learning pattern. Also, there's drop in the learning level of the student. So like hardly 20% of the student have retained one language, one maths ability, 10% language ability, and 10% have retained one language ability. But there are a lot of students, according to another research, says that students are gonna suffer learning loss in long run due to the pandemic. So these skills will help to like avoid those learning losses which they'll be suffering in the future, because there is like huge learning gap which happened in the past. And again, as we have seen in the previous video, the kind of skill set we need to do one job has shifted a lot. So for that also, it's important for teachers to have the skill set to ensure that they are like making students self learner and making them ready for future employability and growth. Also, the skill sets are very adaptable in nature. It doesn't prepare a student to only learn one thing and apply the knowledge. It also helps them to create the knowledge. So again, I think facilitation is one of the very important, and facilitation and communication skill are like key skill set for every teacher to have to indulge in effective teaching with the student. So we'll deep dive into these 21st century skills. So we'll start with facilitation skill. Like, what are the components of facilitation skill and what teachers can learn in it? So one of the like major component in facilitation skill is also planning. How effectively a teacher is able to plan what they want to deliver is important. How they are communicating it. So it's important to understand the audience, the language they understand. Again, I'll relate it with the NEP. NEP put a lot of emphasis on teaching student, especially primary student, in a language they understand. Or so it's important to have a communication and like know the medium and the language which is preferable and understandable by your audience. Active listening plays a major role in facilitation. Like, you'll be able to like resolve a query, or you'll be able to respond to it if you're like making a person listen, or yeah, you're able to listen and frame it effectively. Questioning is another important skill to understand the understanding of your student, how much they have learned, whether they are able to follow with the class or not. Sometimes students just get lost in the process. So questioning can again bring them back in whatever the teacher is trying to teach, and it is a very engaging process also. Facilitation skill covers questioning. Observation plays are also important role. Sometimes, as I have said, that it's important to understand what you're delivering. The student is able to grasp it or not. Is it like making sense to them? Are you able to achieve the learning objective you have set? So that's also need to be taken care of. And the conflict management, is there any conflict which is happening? So it's important to bring people or student in the on the common ground and say that all kind of thoughts and like knowledge or whatever you believe is accepted. And by making them feel heard, like conflict management can be resolved, so it won't disrupt the flow. Sometimes there's a lot of conflict during the facilitation or during the classes, and it takes all the attention. So this also helps to save a lot of time. So these are some like components of facilitation skill which our teachers should hone. The other is technological skill. What are the some components which teachers should be familiar with in today's world? First is email management. The mode of communication has shifted. It's no more notice board and diary. It's more through digital medium, WhatsApp, email. But email is one of the formal mode of communication, and it's always a good idea to familiarize yourself with this, that how to send mass emails. So it will also help to save a lot of time. Word processing, there's a lot of as we have seen that there is hybrid model of education now. And in hybrid, there is like a lot of data which we send digitally to people. So it's important to be like aware of basic data processing, alignment, formatting, and basic word work. Spreadsheets are also quite important in today's world, especially in terms of recording and presenting the data. So earlier we used to record the assessment data on the report cards, and even like in many school we still do that. But like just imagine where you have all the data at one place, because like sitting and analyzing and comparing data, who is performing how in which subject is difficult when there is a hard copy. But if you have all the data on a spreadsheet, lot of insights can be taken out from that. So again, data and data driven work is quite important. Data driven decision is quite important, and teachers should be familiar with this. Electronic presentation to make class more engaging, to deal with pandemic COVID-19 like situation. There's this sudden shift in the technology and internet. So again, the presentation skill is very engaging. Making a PPT PowerPoint presentation help student to connect, and it also serves all kind of learners, audio, visual, and kinesthetic. Lot of activities can be included in a presentation to serve their needs. Internet navigation is again quite crucial, because there's a lot of information out there available, and it's important to pick the right information, and the information in right amount. So and also guide the student to do the same, or find the quality content available in the internet. So it's important to know how effectively navigate those informations and get that. I think one thing which we all got used to and have learned to a great extent is communication platform management, but it's also keep on like upgrading in every few months and year. So it's important to keep on upgrading yourself along with it, and like especially platforms like Zoom, they are coming with a lot of new features in every few months. Zoom is there, Google Meet is there, and Zoho platform. So these are a few components of technological skill set which teachers should possess. The other is pedagogical skill set. We'll start with the experiential learning. Here, I think NEP alignment is a lot. NEP talks a lot about having a lesson plan or curriculum where there's a lot of experiential learning, and they are trying to like include it as much as possible in the curriculum. Value education is important. Whatever the student is learning, how much able to like it's adding the value in their life and in their profession or future profession. That is important. Inquiry learning again is important, where you help the student to like indulge in it, inquire and reflect and generate that curiosity and figure out things by themselves, help them like do problem solving. That is important. Appropriate assessment is also quite crucial in pedagogical skills, as we have seen that the way of assessment we have used so far and for so many years is quite outdated now. Relevant, but again the learning shift in learning wants us to shift in the assessment pattern as well, and it's quite effective. Like students are like these days enjoying these assessments. Students are indulgent like a lot of and assessments, and if you see open book assessment, they give them a lot of space to think and find and figure out the information and knowledge by themselves, and that's the ultimate goal, to make them a self learner. Problem based learning is again very important. Activities like treasure hunts can be given, maybe a query can be assigned to student to resolve it, to make them think and solve the problem and make decisions accordingly. It's important to involve innovative methods in the teaching. And moving on, we'll talk in detail about this. But again, NEP talks a lot about project-based learning, where a student is indulged in a project, and like learning is happening by themselves with the help of guidance of teacher. So as we have said that it's student centric learning now. Now students want to like should be able to learn and explore things by themselves, and that's how as a teacher we are going to prepare them for the future. And for that we need to have those skill sets. Reflection is very important. As a teacher, you should be critical about what you are doing, how you are doing, whatever you are implementing. For example, if you're implementing a unit plan, what is the efficiency of it, how effective it is implemented, what is the outcome. So that's important. So you can just rework on your strategies. Evidence base is important. There should be some base criteria or proof of learning something, on what, or question what is the basis of this, because again that brings a lot of creativity and innovation. Questioning, we have already covered that why and how questioning is important. Reflective skills helps in decision making, and at every stage in our life. Earlier, there are a lot of people who used to make decision for us, but in today's world, even a fourth grader or fifth grader want to decide and tell what they want to do. So it's good idea to make them ready for it, and that can be done through teacher. And it's also important for teachers to have this decision making skill. So they are the one who know what is best for the student. They know what can be done and how it can be done. So decision making is one of the very important skills which teachers should hone. The other is communication skill, part of facilitation skill, but the physical gesture plays a major role when you're communicating. How you're communicating, what is your body language, your tone when you're communicating is very important. Linguistic is in which language you're communicating. Whatever mode of language or whichever language you're using, is it like able, like your students are able to understand it or not? And also able to understand the language you're using or the kind of word you're using. Maybe as a teacher it's easy for you to understand, but is it like easy for the student also to understand and comprehend about it? Cognitive is also one of the important part of communication skill, where you're able to like connect dots and whatever is being discussed in the classroom, and provide a effective feedback, reflect, or moderate a effective decision. The other is socio emotional skills, which is again very important as a teacher, because it's important to create that safe space and provide that space to the student where they open up and communicate. So it's important to ensure that students are feeling included and participated in the classroom. The other skill is innovative and social skill, social emotional skill. Social emotional skill we have covered. It's important to have self awareness and management. As a teacher, also you have like a life apart from your work. We all go through different emotions. To deal and help student deal with their emotions, as a teacher you should also be aware of your uh, own like emotions, what do you want, how you're feeling, these things. Relationship building is again a very important skill, because until unless you are not able to build that relationship, your communication, your facilitation, the reflective skill, everything will get impacted. So that's why I think socio emotional skill is something which is most neglected, but most useful and crucial when it comes to learning a skill, because that will help you to connect and pass on all these information. Some of the innovative skills teachers should have is more awareness and knowledge about project based and inquiry based learning, possess things or present things in front of student where it intrigue them and make them think about it. Blended learning is again, it's one of the innovative method where you use different kind of knowledge and different kind of materials, information to teach a student. And like it's quite upcoming these days, and crucial to have these skill set. So we'll also, as we have said that and it's important to have these 21st century skill to serve the students in the best possible way, because these skills are the key to success in teaching profession. Honing these skills are key to success in the teaching profession. uh, the world is changing, and the way human interaction is happening is changing. It was face to face earlier, but now there's a shift. There is NEP which is there, and will be implementing, and we have started implementing, and we'll be shifting completely towards NEP uh, in the coming days. So these skills will help you to be flexible and have this adaptability to like move on with the changing time. And this also helps you to accelerate your professional and personal growth. One of the major reason of like including and talking about these 21st century skills, we are as a teacher or as a school leader, we are no more like generating only employees for future. Like as a teacher you will be creating future leaders and innovators. So a dynamic classroom will ensure that these future innovators and leaders are going, because as a country also, and if you see this year we have came up with a lot of unicorn startups, and others, like a lot of people don't want to do the job, they want to be entrepreneur, they want to serve. And I think the teacher are the core of it. They provide the knowledge and information in a way where it helps them to these people grow in future and be these entrepreneurs and be leaders of future. And that's why we have called today's webinar Be a Rockstar Teacher, because you will be the one who will be like creating these future leaders and innovators by honing these skills and implementing these effective skill sets and lesson planning in your school. And it also adds a lot of quality and value in the education for parents as a like it serves the whole school holistic school development. And I think parent satisfaction is also quite crucial when it comes to school and teaching. Parents look for quality and value education, and a good teacher or a set of good teacher in a school create that quality and value education. And it will just like make a lot of students future ready and help them to deal in the real world and a future workplace. And it's same with the teachers, because the profession is shifting for them as well. And it's also there's a lot of evolution happening in their field also. So it will help teachers also to cope up in future workplaces and real world. So let's do a quick revision of what we have covered so far. So we started with understanding of understanding why it's important to upgrade because of the changing world and globalization, more and more increase of technology, future perspectives. Planning types of planning. We have covered unit planning, a big framework theory, where we talked about the backward planning approach, where you decide the end result, the process, and the beginning point, how you're gonna do it. The other is lesson planning using 5E model, that is engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. At the end, we covered 21st century skill, facilitation, technology, pedagogy, reflective skills, communication, innovative learning method, and socio-emotional learning method. So we also have, for today's webinar, we have prepared a handout for everyone. I'm going to project it on the screen, and I'll also be sharing it in the Q&A section. And we'll also be circulating it with you. Just give me a second. I'm presenting this. So we have prepared a handout for teachers, how they can take back these frameworks with them and can use and utilize them for making their unit plan and lesson plan. Just a minute, I'm sharing the screen. Sorry, I'll just take a second to show this. Sushi, can you confirm, is this visible, the handout?
No, it's not visible.
Okay. Just give me a second. So we have prepared a handout which contains all the information we have covered in today's webinar. So we'll be sharing this with you in the chat box, and we'll also be mailing all these handouts and other documents with you by next week, by the beginning of next week. So it has all the content in it. We have also added some videos for more information. So, I'm just putting it here in the chat box, the link. You all can download it from there. Sorry, Q&A section. So a floor is open for questioning if anyone wants to share something, or I'll request if anyone wants to share something, please do that. I have shared the link in the chat box. It's accessible now. So by the time, I'll also talk about Vartna's program as just give me a minute, please. I think there is some My system is getting stuck. So at Varthana, we are also providing two programs. One is Unlock School program. It's based on the 5E model, which we have discussed. Sorry, my system is getting stuck. Am I audible? Shri? I'm not sure.
You are audible, Shivika.
Okay. So sorry, I'll just take another one. Present my screen. So, as we have said, as I've said, we are doing this unlock school program for schools where we'll be providing printed workbook for grade 1 to 8 for maths and English, as there's a lot of learning gap due to COVID and school closure. And it is quite crucial because it's built on this healthy model lesson plan and a lot of activities and content for students to learn by themselves. So this is one program which we are offering at Varthana. The other is Smart Fee program. So this program provides support to the school by helping them collect fees from parents on a monthly basis. So if any school who are interested or be part of this program, please reach out to us on this mail ID, which is help@varthana.com, and you can also contact us on this contact number.